I did leave what was a very promising career. I came to the States and that changed everything.
You've been in the big corporate, you've then started again, rebuilt your career, and then you've set up a business as well. What about anyone that's thinking about setting up on their own in the US, and what things do you think they should be thinking about?
Plan before you do anything. Make sure it's the right thing for you. You're not just moving your practice to an independent firm that you run to increase your fee income. That's the wrong motivation. Why do you want to move to your own firm? What do you see as the benefits to you? And are you prepared to therefore do other things that you haven't been doing previously and learn new skills and techniques? What the firms in the US were looking for wasn't my resume. They were looking for someone in the US who had a strong network, who would be able to build a book of business, because that's the challenge when you join a firm. And I had no network in Philadelphia.
What advice would you give to any listeners that are looking to try and get their own new business levels up?
I think the first thing to do is...
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Performance Financial Advisor Podcast. Jason Walker. Welcome, Jason. How are you today?
Hi, Tony. Yeah, thanks for inviting me along. And yeah, I'm good, thanks. Keeping well.
Good. Obviously, you've had a long and distinguished career. Just tell us a little bit about who Jason Walker is and how the hell you've ended up in the US providing financial advice.
Yeah, thanks for saying long. It makes me sound super old. But
Sorry about that. As long as my career, Jason, it's okay.
Yeah, but it has been quite long. My career started back in the UK in a town or a city called Bath. Some people might know it as a very touristy place where there's ancient Roman baths and everything else. But for me, it was graduated from university and went straight into financial advising. It was a very young age to start working in the industry. I was 21 and a half, really put into a team where we were answering calls for inbound clients. And then our role at that time was just to speak to the clients and see if we could get them on board and to invest with us. And it was a time when tech was booming. It was the internet days where, so late 90s, everyone wanted to go into tech, and that was kind of the conversations we were having. But quickly progressed from there, went into what we would at the time called face-to-face advice, where I was giving advice to people in their homes, or they would come to the office. And that was a challenge in my early 20s because I looked young. I'd like to think I still look younger than my age, but I looked young at that time. And there's certain challenges along that we could perhaps go into later, that about how do you get that confidence with a client when you look like just kind of university. And so that was a challenge, but did really well. Went into management and had a career in the UK for 16 years and ended up in the UK managing 8 managers reported to me and around 200 advisors through those managers. So that allowed me to see different parts of the business. It allowed me to get involved in recruitment, in coaching, in working with executives and other things. So it was a very useful role for me as I progressed in my own career. Then I came to the States and that changed everything. So
why did that happen? So this is 2015. Was it 2015, I think? So you've got a big role at a big national firm in the UK at that point. You've got 200 odd people underneath you. So you're doing very well in life, I'd imagine there. So then how did it come that you ended up in the US or decided to move away from the UK?
Yeah, a lot of people at the time thought I was crazy. I'm not going to lie. And maybe I was, but I had met an American and she was from Philadelphia. So when we got married, kind of that family-based decision as to where do you want to live longer term. And I had a pull to the States anyway. I'd lived here as a child for a couple of years.
Okay.
And my sister was here at the time. She'd been here for at least 15 years at that time. And I'd always been excited about the States. I think there's a lot of opportunity here. And that kind of pulled me across to the US. But I did leave what was a very promising career and a very promising outlook in that career. So it was different.
So did you have to? You got to the US 2015. The move from UK financial advice to US is not straightforward, is it? Because obviously the qualifications are all completely different, all that sort of stuff. So what happened then, and how did you go about sort of rerouting and rebuilding your career, I guess, from there? Because it's not you can move from the same level to the same level when you move to the US, is it, Jason?
Absolutely not. No. I mean, I spent time networking before I moved and after I moved. And so I spent, looked into my network and was looking at what you would call in the UK broker consultants, what you call here wholesalers. who work for the asset management firms, those sort of people. And so I had connections with them in the UK who were able to connect me to their equivalents here in the States. And I knew I was moving to Philadelphia, so that was kind of where I was looking for those connections here. And I spent 6 months networking. I would go and just get myself in front of doors. I'd go and see the wirehouses, UBS, Wells, Merrill, those sort of firms. And then I'd see some other firms, Raymond James, or I'd see some more regional firms. And I was just trying to get a feel for the market because I had no idea what those differences were or what how it would work. And so that was kind of my outset. But I think my biggest challenge was, although my resume looked great, and you, Tony, would look at it and say, yeah, you know, that looks like a great background and everything else. What the firms in the US were looking for wasn't my resume. They weren't looking for a UK highly qualified, experienced advisor. They were looking for someone in the US who had a strong network, who would be able to build a book of business, because that's the challenge when you join a firm. And I had no network in Philadelphia apart from my wife's family. So it was a real challenge to get my foot in the door and actually join a firm at that time.
And then you went to Raymond James, I think, at that point, didn't you? And so you really, just as we talked, Jason, you probably had built your career in the UK and then you've had to rebuild it from the start, essentially, in the US. Would be fair? So I think having you on and talking about how you've done that and your experience along the way. So you pretty much started out at Raymond James and then had to go again, didn't you, really? So it's kind of like you're an experienced leader in the UK and have come across, and then you sort of had to be a rookie, I guess, in the US. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I joined as a trainee. I joined Raymond James. I was very fortunate. They gave me a chance. I'd met a great mentor who had a lot of faith in me. And he, as my mentor, had to persuade some management in Raymond James to say, hey, this guy's got what you need. He'll do really well. But even they were sort of saying, well, where's he going to get his book of business from? How's he going to get clients? But he was, my mentor at the time was fantastic. He got me into the firm. But I joined their trainee program. So I went down to Florida for 2 weeks to meet with, it was about, 20 of us in the class. And we went through all the basics again in terms of how do you interact with clients? How do you prospect? What do you do here? Now, some people's ego might have got in the way at that point. I didn't. I actually, I really enjoyed it. I found, because I'd been in management for quite a while as well, I'd found actually a lot of this stuff I'd either forgotten or it had evolved into stuff that I hadn't learned in the past. So I actually went into it thinking, this is great. This is new, or it's reminding me how to start again and how to build that career. And Raymond James had a great program. It was a 2-year, pretty intensive trainee program, but then also you're learning on the job, as you always do. And a great firm. I highly recommend them.
Brilliant. And then, so 7 years there, and then you recently established Cross Border. So tell us a little bit about that and how that's worked. Because again, it's so you've done lots, haven't you? Really, you've been in the big corporate. You've then started again, rebuilt your career, and then you've set up a business as well. So there's lots of stuff for us to dig into there. So how has that worked out, and how are you getting on doing that?
Fantastic. It was it's my next big move, I guess, and I'd like to say my final big move. I'm not doing it again. I talked a bit earlier about how to build a book of business or how to build a practice without a network locally, which is at the time what I had the challenge around. But my network naturally was cross-border. I naturally have a strong network in the UK and now in the US, and I have a lot of knowledge and experience in both countries. So I focused in on a niche market, and that would be globally mobile clients who retain some form of assets within the United States, with a particular focus on UK, US. And through my own experience, I understood the complexities of what can trip you up from a tax perspective, what you can and can't own in multiple countries, and how do you manage that process? How do you move currency and assets across different countries to the other? How do you distribute pension income? That sort of stuff all was pretty natural to me, knowing both countries very well. And I built that practice within Raymond James. But like a lot of the big firms, there was a reluctance, understandably, with the bigger firms to work in this more niche market. So it became apparent for me that if I was going to continue working cross-border, I'd really need to have more control on that firm in terms of how we work with clients. And that led to the conversations around setting up as a registered investment advisor, an RIA, and building up our own firm. And I worked very closely with a UK firm which has the same name, Cross Border Financial Planning, and I'd known them for a number of years. Philip Teague is a ex-colleague and a good friend of mine, and so we'd had conversations around how we can start this business up in the States. We started almost 3 years ago, probably to the day, actually, ironically. So I should probably celebrate. And
congratulations, happy anniversary.
Yeah,
happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. So we brought a colleague from the UK company over to Philadelphia, and his intention was always to move to the States and work with me and build the firm. And he came across, and we then started at it really, and built the practice from there.
Brilliant. Congratulations on that really. So just digging into a few of those bits there. So when you've seen high performing advisors in UK, US, what does a high performing advisor mean to you? Because everyone's got different views on that, I guess. But what does a high performing advisor mean to you? And I guess it'd be really interesting after that to understand what are the key sort of habits or key things you see in an advisor that makes them a high performer.
I think if you'd asked me a few years ago, maybe the answer would have been different, because high performance, back in the early part of my career, it was very much target based. It was very much how much revenue you're bringing in. You're able to get new clients and everything else. And I think for the good, it's evolved into high performance being more about the quality of what you deliver to clients and the service you're providing to clients, because there's some very good, high quality and high performance advisors who don't necessarily want to be building a massive business within their practice, but they have a very successful boutique firm and they do an excellent job in terms of servicing their clients. There's some other high performing advisors who manage, huge amounts of assets under their business, but they're still able to do a great job with those clients and they build up a successful practice that way. So I think what it is really having a very good understanding of that client advisor relationship and being able to deliver not just the advice, but what to me is crucial is that service, and being able to build trust, have a very strong service proposition, and become very close in terms of their relationship with their clients, and become that trusted advisor where the clients go to the financial advisor for their needs. And often that's what we see is we become the center of their relationship, and they might then say, look, we're looking for an accountant, or we're looking for estate planning attorney, or even a realtor. Do you have any connections that we would help us in those areas? And they value our opinion and our network. When I see that, I know they're high performing, because I know they're delivering, they're doing a good job with their clients.
Great. So you look back on all the things you've achieved in the UK, US. What do you do to keep yourself performing at a high level? Are there any things that you have to do to keep yourself at peak performance? And obviously looking younger than your age, Jace, I'm not going to ask about your morning skin routine, but I mean, generally in terms of, are the things that you do that you need to do to keep yourself performing at the level you need to?
I think everyone has their own motivational, their own motivational goal, or whatever drives them. And I'm driven by wanting to do the best I can, not just for me, but for the firm. And, I have a business partner in LA, and we recruited an advisor to work with me in Philadelphia. And I want to see them succeed as well. So that drives me to move the business forward. If I am able to make new connections with other centers of influence, such as new accountants or attorneys, and that will help Ed and my other colleague Jameson in their business, that to me is success, and that drives me to do more. And I think that doesn't mean that every day I'm super driven to do it. It's not a short term thing. It's a medium long term thing. It's you do have the days where you're like, get it. Your
compliance days or something.
Compliance. Something's up, and it's just it's not. You may the weather may be fantastic. Actually I want to enjoy this, and that's the nice thing about the job. But you've got to have that sort of medium and long term aim of what you're looking to achieve, and you've got to plan towards that. And I like to plan myself. We're financial planners, and I like to plan. I like to business plan. So January is a perfect time to do that. So January, we'll sit down as a business and we'll look at what our goals are for the year. What are we looking to achieve? What are the challenges? What can we do different? And that to me helps drive us to do more. And also, I think the other part of it is I am competitive, and so I do look for some competition around, and and to find that it's meeting other firms, and it's we for example, we're in a office that's in a shared space. So there's other firms in the office around us. There's another firm here, RIA firm, and they're great. They're a group similar size to us. We get on really well. We go out and play golf. We discuss things. We talk about things, and they give me great ideas. And I would happy to say I steal those ideas. I was like, yeah, I think that sounds brilliant. We'll do that.
Borrow them. Borrow them sounds better than steal.
Yeah, steal. Borrow. Yeah. We don't steal ideas. We borrow. we borrow and improve them. No, it's and they do the same. We tell them what we're up to, and they do the same, and it's fun, and it's nice to have that kind of camaraderie with different firms. So I do think you get that with a big firm when you're part of a corporate, because you have other advisors in that firm who are your peers. But when it's your firm and you're a smaller boutique, it can get quite lonely because you're in insular there. So I would encourage anyone who is running their own firm and to make sure they've got a network which is of competitors, of other RIAs, of people that they can go and talk to and learn from.
Yeah,
competitors is probably not the right word, to be honest. They are peers. They're working in your space.
Communities, there's so many ways to have communities now, isn't there? Online communities, you can have face-to-face communities, but having that community of people, and I think what's changed in what I've seen it through the years is if you're in the same profession now, you don't have to hate each other. It's probably different in the normal world where someone's got a different opinion to you, they hate you. But in terms of in the same profession, I think everyone wants each other to do well, and those communities are really collaborative to help, or essentially, clients be better and client outcomes be better. So I think all advisors have the same philosophy, that they want clients to do well and themselves. And I think that community can be quite powerful, can't it, if you engage in it properly?
I do. I think so. And I think when I see successful advisors, they're happy to share their ideas and how they've done and how they've got to where they are, because everyone likes to talk about their successes and everyone's proud of what they've achieved. So I feel it's a very good way to learn from others. There's a great for us, a great online community is Finteract. I found them about 18 months ago, and it's just it's a service provided, I believe, by Fidelity, but they're independent really in terms of how they operate. But they're bringing together RIAs from around the country to just talk and communicate and share ideas. And there's certain challenges in running a business that you won't have come across as just being an advisor, for example, where you can go to an online community and say, well, how did you tackle this? What did you do here? And that's been really useful for us.
Good. And say that again, the name of that again, Jace, for anyone that missed it the first time.
Finteract.
Finteract. Okay, cool. All right. I'll put the link on that to later. So I think any communities that can support anyone that's listening for that sort of thing, I'll put that on the link. So Jason Walker, the successful high-performing advisor in the UK. Jason Walker, the successful high-performing advisor in the US. What are the different skills that you've had to use in each of those roles, or is it the same sort of skills and behaviours you need as an advisor in the UK compared to the US, or is it different? Because I've seen a lot of differences. I'm interested to know if you think about you in the UK and you now. I know you've obviously got more years and experience anyway, but is there a different approach to advice in the US and the skills that you need to be successful?
It's a good question. Now everyone changes, as you said, as you get older. And so I'm a very different advisor or even person than I was 10, 15, 20 years ago. But I think the underlying skill set's changed? I don't necessarily. I think the industry's evolved to the better, which probably has complemented how I work more. It is much more relationship driven. And I did notice when I moved to the States, there are key differences between the UK and the US. Certainly when I moved here back in 2014, 2015, the UK had gone through the retail distribution review a couple of years beforehand, and I'd played a big part of that with our firm in terms of moving to fee only and transitioning our whole company towards that goal. And that I learned a lot doing that. It was an incredible experience. Came to the US, and the US was behind the curve on that. So it was still a lot of commission-based investing, and fees were starting to come through, but it wasn't forced necessarily through regulations. It was more about, this is a good business model. This is how you build relationships over time and work as a fiduciary with your clients. And that's now moved in the US as well, and the US has definitely caught up on that side. But I think I felt when I first moved to the US that there probably was more of a relationship with the advisor and the client in terms of not just an advisor relationship, but as almost a friend, to a large degree.
Nice.
And I really like that. And that's where that's what I learned when I was going through the training program, is how do how do you really build those strong relationships with clients where it's not just about delivering advice, but you become close and you know everything about each other, and you do things together, and so that to me was really interesting. And also I really enjoyed that part because I have clients locally in the area who've become really good friends, and
Great.
we go out for dinners, we'll watch sport together, and a lot of my good friends have become clients, and that's also been fantastic. And so that to me was a bit of a change. But I think the UK's, I've been out of the UK now for over 10 years, 11 years. It's probably evolved as well and changed a lot. There might be also a generational thing where that's more that kind of style of advising as well. So I can only speak to my knowledge now in terms of how we work in the States, but it is very much that relationship that is really important. And I'm having a baby in a week, hopefully a week, hopefully not.
You are?
Well, not me personally, my wife.
Well, congratulations! That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Thank you.
I want to say congratulations, and I remember what it was like when I had young children. I think, congratulations in a way, but good luck for the sleepless nights as well. Is probably my words.
Yeah, there's definitely some anxiety building right now, but clients love to hear that stuff, and it's great. It's really nice that clients are interested and they wish me the best, and they want to see the baby and everything else. And I love that makes going to work and doing the job so much more enjoyable when you've got that really strong relationship with your clients.
Brilliant. I think there's a couple of things that relationship piece is really important. There's a bit of emotional intelligence there, isn't there, as well? But I think that I always like the saying that people don't care about what you know until they know that you care. And I think that's really important. That's the kind of advisor relationship. Like they want you to care about them, and then they'll listen to you rather than the other way around, won't they? I think so. You've got to show that caring before they actually listen to your advice anyway, I think. So that's good. So obviously winning clients is, from the advisors I talk to, winning new clients is probably everyone's biggest challenge, isn't it? So you've done that. How do you do it? You're obviously still doing it on a regular basis now, I'm presuming, because you're growing all the time. What do you do and how do you do it? Because there are some people that won't know that, but you've obviously done it as a foreigner, if you want to call yourself that, or a Brit. How did you go about doing that? Because winning business when you know people and winning business when you don't, it's not easy. So what do you do now, and what did you do then? And what advice would you give to any listeners that are looking to try and get their own new business levels up?
That's the key question, Tony. That's the one. That is what separates the successful advisors to the ones that necessarily... the ones that have all the attributes but can't get the clients. The client acquisition is the hardest thing in the role. I've always known that, given my background when I joined. It was the old school. It was phoning. We were back in the late 90s, early 2000s. You were having to cold call, and that was challenging. It really was. Not saying it's less challenging now. It's just as hard now, but it's just a different approach. And to me, that's where I've listened and learned from a lot of very good advisors, a lot of good mentors in terms of what to do and how to build it. And I think the first thing to do is, in my experience, is look for a niche in terms of or niche if you're American.
Niche, niche. You're right.
But look for a very focused area of types of clients, and that could be anything from focusing on doctors, for example, or focusing on a particular sector or industry like pharmaceuticals. Depending on your location and where you work, think about what niche would work well for that location, and just get in front of those types of people and get to learn about what drives those people. What if you're looking at a particular industry like pharma, look at the sort of employee benefits people get in pharmaceuticals. You could even go in and focus on particular companies. Like, I've seen advisors who've worked at a particular pharmaceutical company, and they've learned the employee benefits to the nth degree, so they can speak to that person when they're out and say, I know how your 401k works, or I know how your deferred comp plan works, and start talking to them about things that really matter, because that's the hook to get them to learn. And for us, as I said, our niche is cross-border. It is a niche. It's served us incredibly well, because we've built up an expertise and a brand and a network within that field. So we are very fortunate, and I'm very glad we are fortunate, because it helps us grow our business, that we do get inquiries from different sources, whether it's other professionals, so accountants, attorneys. We actually get other referrals from financial advisors. They're a great network for us, because financial advisors who work in different markets come across a client that's then decided they want to relocate to the UK or another country. That advisor might be thinking, well, I really don't have that expertise and I don't have that knowledge base. I'm looking for someone else to work with that client when they move. That's where they bring us in. And
amazing, yeah.
And I think this is really important as well. If you build up a network of people referring work to you, you've got to do an excellent job, because they're trusting you with their client. And that, to me, is a huge amount of trust. So you've got to be on top of your game. You've got to deliver what you say you're going to deliver, go over and above in terms of service for that person, so that trust isn't broken. So that's really important. But so we've been fortunate. But I would say to anyone that is struggling, it's really try and think about what that niche would look like for you. Doctors is another great one, where you can understand how the junior doctors go through their programs, because it takes years for them to get to a point where they're earning good income. But when they get to that point, they're earning very good income for the rest of their life, and they're fantastic clients. So if you can work with those types of clients early on in their career, but you can also make that somewhat profitable to you early on in their career, then that will put you in a good position for when they do become longer term, high earners. And there's ways of doing that. There's we built out recently this year a subscription model for we were coming across some of those types of younger clients who wanted financial planning services, but didn't necessarily have the assets to invest right now. So we now have a subscription model where they pay us quarterly, and we do financial planning, and that gets them on board as clients. We build up a relationship, and then in future years, they will be good long-term clients.
Brilliant. I'm going to continue to say niche, because that's the way I say it, and I can't. That sounds worse trying, but I think it's a really excellent point actually on that, because it also means that when you do get referrals, they are in your specialism. Whereas if you're just a standard financial plan, having referrals coming through that you can't help is a really difficult one as well. At least if you've got that niche, it's something that you can actually support on. But I had one of the most interesting ones I heard recently was advisors that are specialised in YouTubers, which I thought was really cool, because obviously YouTubers are earning a huge amount of money at a young age. You're going to have them for a long time. So, and again, that's the up and coming sort of world, isn't it? That YouTube world. But yeah, that was quite an interesting niche that I heard, and it's working out very well for them.
It's great. I love hearing about all these new ones that I wouldn't have even thought about. I mean, I fell into mine because cross-border was just natural for me. But my advice is have a think of what's natural to you, and go from there.
So again, there's so much to trying to cover the points with your experiences, Jace, because you've had a great career there. So what about anyone that's thinking about setting up on their own in the US, and what things do you think they should be thinking about or consider, or things that you didn't consider that maybe went wrong? What someone who's in that position probably thinking they've got a book, it's going okay, they think it might follow, it might not, but they're probably thinking about setting up on their own. What are the considerations that you would give to those guys, or tell them to consider?
Firstly, plan before you do anything. Make sure it's the right thing for you. It's a huge move, and it's not right for everyone. So you're not just moving your practice to an independent firm that you run to increase your fee income. That's the wrong motivation. It's about, why do you want to move to your own firm? What do you see as the benefits to you, and are you prepared to therefore do other things that you haven't been doing previously and learn new skills and techniques? If you are setting up as a firm, you're a business owner first and foremost. So you have to understand that some of your time is going to be committed to being a business owner, to doing things, pretty mundane things like, finding an office space and doing your taxes. And I hate to say it, Tony, but recruitment as well is a challenge that you may not.
Nightmare recruitment.
So you got to get hold of Tony and get some help there. But it's all those things that you wouldn't necessarily have done before or would know where to go. So, you've got to be in it for the right reasons. But if you do want to do it and it's fantastic, I love it, then make sure you plan at the front end before you make the move. There's different ways of doing it. You could join a network for a while, which might support you in that transition. So it's kind of like a halfway house where you're moving. You have control of your business, but you've got a network behind you to support you on compliance and a lot of the other stuff. And that could be a halfway until you then make the full move. So you don't have to go all at once. Or you could make the full move, but there are some very good outsourcing companies out there who provide you with, for a fee, back office support, technology support. We use a firm called RIA Innovations. They are fantastic. It was one of the best moves we made in terms of the planning was to use them as our back office and they support us in other areas. And that means that as a firm, we're not doing all the administration. So we have 3 advisors at the firm. All our administration is done by the outsourced company, and that frees us up to build the practice, to work with clients and do what we want to do. So that's a key part of it as well. But the other thing I would say is don't plan and just delay the move. Because I've seen people do that as well, where it's like, I'm going to do it, but I've just got to do this first, or I've got to do this first. And you're like, well, at some point you've got to make the jump. Because it is scary. I mean, I got to say, I was super stressed before doing it because you just don't know how it's going to go. Even though you have strong relationships with clients, you're still in the back of your mind, you're thinking, are they going to come with me? Are they going to want to join me? And the longer you delay, the more those fears build up within you. Because once you've done it, that stress is kind of a relief. The stress of the anticipation of doing it is more stressful than the actual doing it, because once you're doing it, you're in it. You're doing it. You're like, right, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. So you're not actually thinking about all the fears. You're just thinking about the next task you got to do, the next bit. So don't leave it too long. But
that's really good advice. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, as soon as we started getting the positive feedback from clients, it was a relief, and it was having a story with those clients. It's like, why are we doing this? It's you got to have that, because clients want to know. They want to know, why have you left? Why have you set your firm up? And so being able to communicate that to your clients so that they want to come with you on that journey was crucial as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you raise there, and often forgotten, isn't it? That why reason and being able to actually explain to your clients, because that's probably not. People don't think about that, do they, when they make the move? You've got to explain to your clients why you're doing it, the benefits to you, but also the benefits to them as well, because it's got to be mutually beneficial, hasn't it, really? So I think people might not think about that, but you never know who's going to follow you until you go, do you? You never know, but you've just got to trust that you've done a good enough job, and that's where the service element comes in, that they will follow you because they need you. It
was a very reassuring process once I'd spoken to all my clients, because it just reassured me that they actually did really value what I do and they value that relationship. We had a great success rate bringing them across, and so that was great validation. Which I'm the sort of person that I don't assume that I have that, so it was nice to see it.
I was just thinking about that Mask film, Mask, when he says they love me, they really love me. I was thinking it's that moment when they all follow, isn't it? But I think you've obviously done a good job in terms of the tools to be an advisor nowadays. What are obviously we've got AI and all these things happening now. What are the tools you think you need to be successful? The key tools we spoke about, the ability to build relationships, the ability to win new business. What about the other sort of basic tools now that you're using, or you think advisors are going to need now and in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I love that. This is something I love because as you have your own firm and your own practice, you're able to bring in technology a lot earlier than you would within a big corporate firm.
Yeah.
You're making that decision. It's like, okay, I like that. Let's sign up today, and you start using it. There's some due diligence stuff before you can't just take it on board, but it's almost that quick. So we've been able to adopt some great technology within the practice, including AI. So we went to a conference last September and had this presentation on all the new technology coming through, and this note taker specifically for this industry just looked fantastic. And we did that due diligence. We brought them on board, and it saves just that one piece of technology, which is AI. It saves in review meetings. It saved me at least 45 minutes to an hour per review meeting, because it's
Amazing.
doing all the note taking, it's doing the action points, it's summarizing it, it's creating an email that you can use as a template to the client afterwards. And clients really like it. That summary that they get is fantastic. It's a reminder of the meeting, and it uploads to our CRM. So that's just one piece of tech out of a lot. That
is that financial advisor specific, Jace? Did you say? Is that are you able to say the name, or is that? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, they're called Jump, and they're at a lot of the industry conferences now. They're growing very quickly, but yeah, we love it because it is specific to the financial services industry and to the RIA industry. So it's AI understands the language for speaking with clients, and it summarizes the call in a way that you'd want it summarized as a financial advisor, and it's putting in the net worth figures, it's putting in the investments you've discussed about their values, how they're invested. So it's all really good tech.
Cool. Yeah.
So I'd recommend something like that. There are others as well, so I'm not saying just look at that one, but that's one. We custodian relationship's your most important relationship. That's where your client's assets are being held. So you've got to do a lot of due diligence, and you've got to do that before you set up. Really, you've got to make sure that's all ready to go. But we use all sorts of reporting tools, billing tools. The technology is just advanced, but also just getting more and more advanced. It's fantastic. I love it. Because it allows us to grow the business at scale, and it allows us to deliver great service to our clients. And I think it's only just going to keep improving.
If you've got I completely agree with you. I think I went to a meeting recently, and I got out a pen and a notebook, and the other person laughed at me and said, "You know what? Why don't you just have a note taker kind of thing?" And it really quickly, that looks really out of date. Doesn't even read a notebook and pen in a meeting now. So I think you've got to move with it. But I think just with those tools, if you use the right tools, what percentage do you think you can increase your revenue by compared to someone who doesn't use those tools? I always think that's quite interesting, because it's saving you a lot of hours, isn't it? I guess it just depends how many clients you're winning. But do you think advisors can produce a lot more using the right tech now?
They can. I think part of it comes more to your point about time. So it becomes more about what you want to do with your time by using those tools. So is that time more valuable to you to spend time with your family, or is that time more valuable to go out and do more prospecting on new business acquisition, or service more? I think there's always a limit to how many clients one person can service. I just think that realistically you get to a number, and then you're not going to be able to deliver great service once you hit that sort of number. So you do need to me, in the way I believe that's why we recruit, to get advisors in, because to me the benefit is it's my firm, and I will benefit from increased revenue to the firm if we get advisors in who are servicing our clients, and I'm able to then segment my clients, pass on my clients to other advisors, and build the firm that way. And segmentation and client acquisition, that goes hand in hand. So going back to the question, that I think the tech itself just frees up your time as either a business owner or senior advisor to then do what you want to do in the other parts of your role, whether that's as I said, business acquisition, time with family, or servicing, whatever it is. But the tech does free up a lot of time, and I think you just got to adapt. You got to adapt and evolve as the tech does.
I know we've had a lot of inquiries from UK advisors about the US. There's a real intrigue, isn't there? Or I think there is from the UK to the US market. There's a lot of interest, isn't there? For various reasons. I think the same from US to UK. If there's advisors that are looking to make the move from the UK to the US, what advice would you give them? Because it is not easy at all, is it? It's not straightforward. So what advice would you give any listeners that are UK based wanting to move to the US, for example?
I think that goes back to my story that we started at the start of the call. Is when I moved to the States, my background, my resume didn't really matter here. So I think if you're thinking about that move, just be prepared that you're not going to, even if you've got a fantastic career back in the UK, you're a chartered advisor, etc., doesn't mean anything to a US firm or practice. So be prepared to a degree start again, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. As I said, I really enjoyed it. I embraced it and started again. And I didn't need to focus on cross-border. I could have worked within my previous firm and my mentor, and he was very open to me working with him and his practice over time. And there is more wealth in the US. It's the leading economy in the world. It's the wealthiest country in the world. So their wealth brings financial advisors. So there's a lot of competition, but also wealth brings the opportunity to build a very good practice, servicing some excellent clients. And I don't want to put people off from that move by saying you're starting again. I think you just got to recognize, come into it with the understanding that you are starting again, but the opportunities here are excellent. And as long as you display those qualities that we've talked about, and you've got the emotional intelligence, you're looking to build relationships and build a successful practice, then you can make a very good success of it over here.
Brilliant, Jess. We're almost coming to the end now. You've been a really interesting story. I'm fascinated by your story and what you've done. I do think, that emotional piece, I'd imagine, when you've been a really senior leader and then you have to start again. I think dealing with that is not easy, is it? It's not, because you've gone from, I know you've dealt with it well, but I think that emotional bit and what you've achieved and then going again and being successful is a great effort in the US. So, congratulations on that. What do you need to do in the next few years to make sure you're still going to be performing at a high level? What's your learning area, or what do you need to do? What do you think, right, I have to get good in that area, or keep doing that to make sure you continue the success for you and cross-border?
Yeah, we have a very clear understanding of where we want to get to in 10, 15 years as a business. Each year, think about how we get ourselves there. So I know that we need to recruit advisors, but at a sensible pace where, we're always going to be a boutique firm. We don't have ambitions to be the next huge sort of practice out here, but we want to recruit advisors who have the same culture, same philosophy, same way of working as we do. And we just want to continue doing a great job for our existing clients while being mindful that we want to grow the business. So it's the challenges that come with that is you can't let anything drop on the service levels to your clients, because they are the key part of our business. That's what's most important. And then growing from there is just continuing what we're doing, continuing those relationships with our accounting firms, our legal firms, our other financial advisors that refer us work, and have fun along the way. It's not all work. I want to enjoy it, and this is my final career move. So I want to make sure that we do it right, but also we have fun along the way. So that's part of it.
Well, Jason, you've been an amazing guest. I really enjoyed that. So, Jason Walker, cross-border financial planning. If you do happen to be listening and you have any clients that you can't service because they've got that cross-border bit, obviously get in touch with Jason as well. But you've been a great. I always ask everyone at the end before they go, Jason, a podcast and a book, or both, or one or the other, that maybe advisors listening could listen to or read that might help them with their journey. So one of either is fine.
Yeah, I'd say podcast. The Kitches podcast, so that's Kitces. Michael Kitches, he's very well known in the States. He's kind of made this whole career out of being a supporter and advisor for the registered investment advisor community, the RIA community.
Yeah.
So he has a great podcast for giving advice on how to transition into an RIA from your existing firm to the tech you need to everything. And he's got a whole library of those. So you can just have a look, jump into those and pick out ones that you think make sense to what you're looking to do. But I think he does a fantastic job. So
perfect. Jason, thank you so much for coming on today. Well done on what you've done so far, and look forward to watching the rest of the journey. Thanks for joining me.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jess. Cheers.
Take care. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to High Performance Financial Advisor. If you found today's episode valuable, make sure you subscribed on your favourite podcast platform so you don't miss the next one. Until next time, keep performing.